And it's actually not Black Forest. It is just normal Arabia. All right, so they are just going to have a go at it with pretty strong team overall, so that's pretty gutsy from kLu, and maybe they have some kind of special strategy for this. So let's see about that. Loom right now being researched for El Sancho, who is the host of the room, and he's also playing Chinese. And for the others, we have Vince as Mayan, Sanin as Mongol, Hats is Han. Going to be easy to remember, Hats Hans. Miguelzin is playing Mongols, Gach is Mayan, Alucard Guts is Chinese, and Ryut Safadao is playing Hans. So that seems like a proper mirror, if I see things correctly, yes. And let's have a look around here. So the first we have a look at is Sancho, who is scouting around his home base, and has he already discovered something interesting? So far just one bar on the left, also the gold and extra berries, and oh well, that's quite a lot of gold right next to him overall. So that's 1, 2, 3 gold mines right next to his base, which is going to be quite nice for him, especially when he is the pocket from the team kLu, and he is also playing the Chinese here, so that's going to be quite decent boom from him. And potentially quite deadly for his opponent, so let's see about that. Stone in the forefront, not really all that bad placement, I have to say. This is going to be rather easy to wall up for him, and otherwise, yeah, this seems not to be a pretty sweet map, as this is yet again going to be easy to wall and shouldn't be any kind of problem for the kLu team here. So I'm going to switch into next one. Yeah, Vedo, Safadao is Ryut. And for example, Vince is going to be the second one to have a look at, who is yet another pocket for the kLu team. And, well, gold placement a bit in the forefront, that's going to be a bit difficult for him, because obviously he's kind of open in the forefront. Might be wallable, even though it's pretty long wall, but still, could be not really all that easy. But he should probably make an attempt, because obviously he does have this double gold and a stone here, and that might be quite difficult to attain if he doesn't wall properly. So I kind of think this is going to be his kind of measure all around. Does he see the bar here somewhere? Still not butchering it. Yeah, he does see both of them at the very bottom, so that's very nice for him. And I'll be switching into somewhere else from kLu, and it's going to be, for example, the red player, Sun in here, who is on the right, kind of plastered on the wall, not ideal, but since he's having the gold there, that's going to be very easy to defend with the stone as well. And yeah, I was going to say it's going to be easy to wall for him, but actually look at how open he is in here. It's not going to be really all that easy, as he will probably have to develop a wall about here and here, which is not going to be all that easy. And I was hoping that he could potentially build a wall somewhere here and here, and that would basically secure him both those crucial resources, also a pretty decent tree line, and he would be quite happy with that up until castle or whatever kind of future he's going to encounter here. He's also on the side, and he's playing Mongols, so yeah, potentially would have hoped for a Mongol pocket so that he could be advancing into the next age a bit easier into castle and also Imperial Age. And Vedo, that's because actually LoS is Ryut's basically home clan. That's a clan that he actually started with, and to say it prudently, Tyrant is there just for the money. So yep, last from kLu, that's going to be Hats. And also because Tyrant have never participated in RTS League, basically because there's no money for it, just a prestige to be gained. And if players that have a pretty good reason to compete for other clans, which Ryu definitely has with his LoS very rich history, yeah, we kinda allow that, and maybe we will make the Tyrant actually join in some of the future seasons through that. Otherwise, Yellow is having a pretty decent base, as he's going to be having an easier wall-in on the left side. Yeah, it's really not going to be all that hard for him, just a few palisades or houses or whatever, with having extra hunt, very nicely positioned stone and gold, and otherwise, yeah, a lot of extra hunt between him and his orange ally, so very easy to defend for him overall as well. Gold and stone, well, a bit in the offensive part of his map, but looking at this position, it could also be kind of easier to wall, but let's see if that's going to be happening, because I'm not exactly positive that is going to be something that will happen here. Let's have a look right now on the other guys from LoS. That's going to be, for example, Safado on the left side, who is going to be facing a Hats. That's going to be quite decent battle right there, with Hats being the strong player from kLu. And Safaro, quite obviously, as Riot being the strongest from LoS. His map seems to be reasonably fine, even though he might probably not be all that happy about the gold and stone being in the forefront here, and that's literally unwallable. You can see that's one screen of walling, and that's definitely not going to happen, as that's really difficult and quite expensive. And yeah, Riot will definitely have to hope that he is today on the top of his game and will be able to sustain or somehow uh, play through the opposition's aggression there. Players advancing into the field, H, Miguelzin, Hats, Sanin, and Safadao, so that's 2 per each team. And Miguelzin right now advancing as the first one, and let's see on the right side what he's going to do with his kind of pretty strong, or rather pretty fast advance into the next stage. As a Mongol, it's definitely stable. That's kind of understandable, as Mongols usually go for the Scout Cavalry and then jump into the Imperial Age, or jump once they are properly boomed, of course, and the castles and whatnot nonsense for the Mangudais. And the pocket for LoS is played by Gach as a Mayan, which is a pretty good position for him, as he could potentially be quite strongly slinging his allies, and let's see if that's going to be something that will be happening in this game. Blue player is right now developing on the left, having quite a decent amount of gold overall in both this main gold mine and the secondary one, of course. And on the back, well, yet another stone, and I also saw on the minimap yet another gold. So yep, that's a pretty decent placement overall. You see some kind of attack here, and that's just a bit of a raiding by Huts on the villages here from Safaro, who is trying to build a stable. Definitely as he's a Hans, he will be going for Knights in the Castle Age, and also the Paladins in the Imperial later on. Bit of a scouting I would be expecting from the blue here. Safaro is Riot. Vedo. And looking at your other question, Tyrant Sponsor did not let... Yeah, he did not let him play under a Riot nickname. That's why he's using Safado. He cannot use the Riot nickname outside of Tyrant. So that's why he's using this one. But it was never any secret. It was just was also a condition under which he was allowed to play, that it is not any kind of secret and laws are open about who he is. But right now it's already common knowledge from the last season, where he has already played for the Lords of Skulls and has won the title with them, even though he didn't play in the finals. That was won by regular players from the Lords of Skulls. A bit of fun between the Scout Cavalry here of Red, Sanin, and also Green Miguelzin. But so far it seems like that Red is actually having slightly upper hand, but they are kind of have that one of them, with one of green ones being halved as well. And you can see that Vince is right now developing on the right side with the market and blacksmith, trying to jump into Castle Age, which is a pretty understandable strategy from him, as obviously he's also the Mayan, and I will be expecting some kind of swinging from literally anyone here, as that's usually the strategy to go in 4v4. A bit of a fun with scouts on the left as well, pretty much the same numbers, with Safado having one more than his yellow opponent, and that's definitely meaning that Huts will be having to be quite careful about what he's doing so far. But he's actually having pretty much the same numbers, so is he luring Safado off actually the scouts on the left so that they can potentially have a go in those villages? Well, not exactly sure how that would be happening with those very nicely placed palisade walls. And well, that's a long wall. That's definitely a long wall by Miguelzin, and he potentially could have went for slightly slower or rather smaller wall, potentially a double here, here, and here. Well, that's actually a triple. But he opted for this one, and that's definitely going to be quite interesting if he can somehow pull off yet another wall from here, potentially right next to the wall here of the map. And looking how he's interested in this kind of weird walling, he might actually go exactly for that, as we were talking about slightly earlier. Yep, pikeman or rather spearman is joining the fun here, which means that yeah, green player will have to be extra careful with what is happening here, and he's also not going to be having any kind of luck with Raiden on his purple opponent, as he is very nicely walled on the gold here. And oh, Oh, that was spoken a bit too early. That was spoken a bit too early, as obviously those guys shouldn't have gotten through, and right now they have, and that's a huge problem for Purple, because not only is he losing a villager, yeah, those will probably task to actually finish the wall, but obviously they can't go through, and this is going to be yet another problem for Purple, as he is going to be delayed on here. Safarao on the left side has though amassed quite a decent amount of scout cavalry here, and is he going to be targeted by yellow? Well, not really at this point, because yellow is attempting his own raid-in, which he will be successful with, obviously because of no army at the defense. But at the same time, it's going to be exactly problematic for Huts in the defense because of those scout cavalry. But yellow is already having quite a decent amount of spearmen, so potentially not that problematic at all. As if they are at the right moment at the right place, they could be quite strong indeed. Right now they are moving exactly to actually protect here, with the tree line not protected the same as Safarao did, which might actually cost some villager here, but will it? Yeah, one villager is dead. And even though this is going to cost like potentially one scout, yeah, this is well worth it, because he has killed both of those pikemen, or rather spearmen, with just one remaining, and even though he will probably kill one extra scout, that's probably going to be it, and oh yeah, right now he's forced Huts to retreat with absolutely everything, and right now it's going to be a proper scout battle between those two players, yellow and teal. A bit of a pause here, so let's have a look somewhere else in the meantime. There we see yet another battle between green and red, basically the same strategy happening on the right side as is happening on the left. Yeah, this is allowing yellow to get back into the game, and looking at the difference in villages, yellow is having 28 whereas Safaro 36. Well, that's a pretty huge difference right there, and won't be really biding, or rather meaning anything nice once the guys advance into Castle Age. Castle Age is being researched, or rather finished, by Alucard, Guts, Gach, and from kLu it's Vince and Sancho. Basically 2 per 2, with Miguelson right now advancing into Castle Age as well. Bit of a wall in the middle, with purple and orange actually making sure that they are protected as much as they can be. Yeah, this is protected. There is still a way through, obviously through this part of the map, but it's going to be quite difficult for his opponent to fight something, especially when right now the advantage should be switching into the close side, with El Sancho switching into rights and helping his teammate Huts, who will be, as Hans, yeah, quite interested in advancing into the next age pretty soon. He's also right now switching into archery range, so potentially there's going to be not the knights, but cavalry archers when he advances. Let's switch into Huts to have a look at their resources. Well, not really advancing anytime soon. And looking somewhere else, Miguelzin, who is advancing into Castle Age and also upgrading into Scalebardin armor, is trying to repair some kind of wall, and he's definitely taking that quite seriously, with building the huge wall in the middle here, in the forefront of his base, and right now trying to finish with the buildings quite strategically. And since he's a Mongol and building second stable, he's probably going to go for a bit of knights in the Castle Age before he advances into Imperial and goes for the Mangudais that are the staple unit of the Mongolian player. Second TC from the Vince player, from the Mayan. That's 2 TCs with a castle, so he's already preparing to potentially help his allies defend. Whereas somewhere else who is also in the Castle Age from exactly Sancho that we are looking at right now, but he isn't really booming here. You can see that he's not having a second town center yet, but he is having double stables and is pumping out the scouts or other knights that we have seen earlier in the battle here. Safaro is right now also being, well, he's not really being attacked, as you can see. He's being just a bit raided by his opponent Sancho, who is having knights, but still not really in enough numbers, especially right now, when blue, Alucard, is actually joining in the fun here and helping Safaro out, and it seems like developing into pretty much a 2v2 on the left side between yellow, orange, and blue together with Safaro. That's a teal player. Yeah, right now they have to be careful close, because they don't really want to lose the units, especially when they would be fighting against those spearmen, which is not something that you want to do at all. This is though pretty nicely prepared here by yellow, but he unfortunately wasn't able to finish. So right now he's just having Kinda thinking that he's having just a line of sight here, so that he knows if Safarao is gathering gold here, and if he is, he will basically be going with Drayden, yeah, on the sure spot. So that's a pretty good idea and very nice usage of the palisade walls basement there. Second TC from Miguel. Build. Do we see something extra here? Not yet, just an idle villager. That could definitely be working somewhere else. But so far he isn't. The scout not doing anything either. And are we see some kind of army from purple? Yeah, we actually are. He's right now sending blues to the right. Having already a pretty decent number of them. And it seems like that they are really interested in a bit of a passive approach. Even though they are raiding onto the green's base, this is not really anything substantial. And yeah, this is just trying to disrupt, or rather make their opponents think that they are doing something else than they are. Archers here together with the spearman, and also Castle Age being researched by Sanin, and he's Mongol, so potentially there's going to be something similar with the double stables here as Miguel's in. And it's going to be a bit of scout in the Castle Age, and then potentially a jump into the next age, and it's really developing into pretty much exactly the same situation on the right side as is on the left, with green together with grey fighting against red and purple with basically the same civilizations, and it's definitely going to be decided on who is having the better skill here. Both of these archers on the hill here, so it should be decided just by numbers or potentially proper micro, and yeah, that's not exactly happening here, as obviously those two guys are shooting from beyond the hill, so rather below the hill, which is not ideal, as obviously that's going to mean a slightly lower attack than their opponents. Green is also going to join in, so that's going to be a bit difficult for red together with purple, and especially purple, who is right now going to probably lose quite a lot of archers if he's not careful. But he is, and seems to be just luring all those green knights into a trap with the spearman, and this is probably going to be successful quite soon. Let's switch on to the left side, where yellow is still attempting to raid on the gold, because he does have the line of sight through the base of this palisade wall, so that's a pretty good idea from him. And you can also see that Safarao is still continuing with pumping out scouts, and right now advancing into Castle Age, so we'll be switching into knights very soon, and right now he's just trying to make sure that his gold is as protected as it can be, and it will be protected quite nicely by the tower and also the spearman, and yeah, it's very close to the TC as well. Yellow is trying to find something to kill, but I'm not really thinking he will be all that successful, because on the left you can already see a bit of a defense in the camels here by the blue player, and even though his orange teammate is actually waiting to actually help out, they won't be getting into here and somehow easily, because obviously the tower, the TC fire would be pretty deadly for them. So they seem to be switching onto Safarao, trying to break through the walls here. But Safarao is really paying quite a lot of attention here, and he won't be surprised by his opponent anytime soon, especially when he's having a pretty decent army of himself and also the help from his teammate Alucard the Guts. Yeah, this is developing into pretty terrible trap from close, rather for close. And yeah, they definitely need to run because they don't have the numbers at all. You can see the huge amount of scout cavalry from Safarao and a pretty decent amount of knights together with a few camels from the blue player Alucard Guts. So yep, that's a signal that the Huts together with Sancho need to retreat. And let's have a look on the right side, how's it looking. And it seems to be going quite well for kLu actually on the right side, as opposed to the left, where Miguel's in together with Gach are not really doing well enough, and they right now are going to be disrupting the economy on the wood line and also on the stone line, which is a bit more important than the wood there. Is there some kind of way through? Has been plugged in, and there still is. This villager is slowly but surely working on it, but it doesn't really seem like that kLus are going to be aiming for that kind of breach of the enemy walls. So obviously that's going to be that's quite far away from them and would be quite a long walk for potentially nothing. So obviously I'm really thinking that they don't have line of sight there. Vince? Yeah, he doesn't know about it. So he potentially thinking that there might be a tree line right next to the wall, which there obviously isn't. And let's have a look. Somewhere back into bases here, with Safaro advancing into Castle Age. He's building yet another TC for his own economy so that he's as strong as he can be. Right now trying to make sure that these guys are not bothering him anymore. You can see that the light cavalry upgrade being finished. And also switching into the knights right now. So that's going to be a radiant from Safaro pretty soon together with blue, I would be thinking. And it seems like that yellow right now is preparing with quite a decent army of cavalry archers, and it will be pretty decent radiant from him overall, because this is, yeah, not going to be easy for his opponent to actually catch up with. The knights are quite numerous for kLu Sancho, but not really numerous enough for his opponent. For his opponent's army, Alucard Gods, who is having also some kind of camels in there mixed in, which is a definite problem, because it means that El Sancho would be quite decently wasted right there, but this is really nicely played by the kLu guys, as obviously they weren't counting Alucard Gods with the extra help from the cavalry archers. So if the cavalry archers can help substantially enough, which they definitely can, yeah, you can see that they are right now getting the upper hand, and they will need to wait for the help of the ally of Alucard Gods, and that's Safaro, who is having his army where right now getting back into his base, and yeah, this is going to be full defense and not any kind of luck for kLu's in breaching the defenses here. Now let's have a very quick look on the right side, where there was a pretty strong attempt by Vince together with his ally Sanino to actually rather stun him to get through here, but they weren't successful, even though they did get through the walls, but they didn't really get into the base, with Grey arriving at the last moment and having a pretty huge number of plumed archers, and also Miguelsen having a pretty decent amount of knights overall with him. Oh well, this is a pretty bad battle. Pretty bad battle for Sanin, who has lost basically all his knights, and that's a pretty bad news, because this will basically develop into the offensive from their opposing team, and I'm not exactly sure what they can do against that, because yeah, right now they will be without any kind of army. Moving to the left, yeah, we see a similar fate befalling the yellow and orange player from the kLu team, which is yet again developing for LoS pretty convincingly here. And oh well, is it going to be finished? Yeah, just finished. Just finished, so that's a pretty huge victory for El Sancho, or rather pretty huge bonus at this point. Because if this TC wasn't finished, it would be like 5-6 villagers dead, and that definitely wouldn't be something that they would be quite happy about. Now looking at the villagers here, Sancho at 91, with Vince at 94. That's pretty much similar to 95 and 97 for Gach and Alucard Gods, and I don't really see all that much of a significant difference, with Huts and Safaro having significantly lower amount of villagers than their allies, and even opponents. So yep, these two guys are definitely having to up their game, but you can also see exactly what we have prophesized, or rather predicted a bit earlier. With the army loss of Sanin, he didn't have anything to actually defend against the onslaught of Grey Gach together with Miguelzin, and this is right now developing into pretty bad slaughter of the economy of Sanin, who is dropping to 64 villages, which is still a pretty decent amount, right now to 60 with 14 idle, but this was pretty deadly, as you can see a lot of dead bodies, both armies and also some villages, and a bit of a problem because Vince wasn't able to finish the defensive castle that he was trying to build here. Gach advancing to Imperial Age as the first of all the players here. Vince trying to advance as well. That's both Mayans advancing into, rather aiming into the Imperial Age, and well, is that going to be enough here? Is that going to be enough? Well, they are having all kinds of troubles defending here, because yeah, Red is not having anything at all at this point, with pretty huge army here of the Pluntaches just waiting to get through here, and they actually could get through, so I'm not exactly sure why they aren't. They could be just killing all the economy from Sanin right there, but so far that's not happening, with yet another attempt to actually finish a castle and secure valuable resources by Vince being made here. And this should be successful. I don't really think that those knights should be killing it. So let's have a quick look on the left, where Sancho has switched full on into camels, and right now is facing a pretty large army from Alucard Gods, and it seems like that Alucard Gods is having a slightly better position in here, and also slightly lower, or rather higher numbers, and is winning overall. 5-2-0-2. Ah, okay, those cannons are actually having just one lower attack, and that actually could make quite a lot of difference in the battle there, and yeah, that might be the reason why Alucard Guts was actually winning this convincingly. He's also switching into Imperial Age, with Safarov having a pretty large army on the left and trying to actually catch up with the Huns cavalry archers, and this is really pretty strong army overall, and I'm kind of thinking that Safarov might be looking into advancing into Imperial Age pretty soon as well. He is, oh well, though, not having really the resources, but Yellow is having, well, quite a lot of cavalry archers. There were some reinforcements in, but he definitely doesn't want to be caught between those two armies. This is basically like an Evil and a Hammer from Alexander the Macedonian. Alexander the Great. And, well. This is developing into a pretty interesting situation here. So there is definitely some kind of plan from Huts. And that was just to run through the walls and then unleash the camels on all this cavalry. Well, I'm not exactly positive this is going to be enough, even with the camels being some kind of counter for cavalry, because they are not really a hard counter. But looking at the extra supporting fire of the Yellow, well, with proper micro, kLu could be winning, but it would really take a proper micro, and especially this hill advantage, which is pretty huge at this point, and really could be making all the kind of difference in this battle. So that's that. And let's have a look back on the right side, where Purple is right now basically helping his red teammate to survive the game here so far, and he's doing that pretty successfully. But looking at the huge amount, as literally a huge amount of Blunt archers from the grey player, this is going to be a bit problematic, especially with the army of the knights from the green one. So yeah, that's a bit problematic, because Purple right now is going to lose absolutely everything, as he has run himself into a trap quite successfully. Well, that definitely wasn't something that they wanted, and you can see that Mongol player is actually switching into Blunt archers, and oh, they get some good shots. That was a good one. Oh yeah, that was also a nice one. But can he get some more? Oh, well, he did kill some, but he could definitely make use of some extra shots, because right now this is not really looking good for the red player at all, because yeah, you can see that he's right now being raided on the gold, and that's a bit problematic, because he's at 32 idle villages out of 53 overall. Well, that's like a half of actually the best of the opposing team, and even his allies, and that's definitely a signal that he's not really doing all that well. And even though he's having 3 TCs, he's just not being able to replenish the units, rather the numbers, because obviously he's still being raided overall, and this is not a situation that is something that you would be wanting to find yourself in. So switching into the left, where it seems slightly better for the kLu team than on the right side, where on the right side is basically depending if Vince can defend his teammates Yanni. On the left, it seems to be pretty much equal so far, with Sancho together with Huts doing a pretty good job against Ryut, Safarao, and Alugard Guts. That's a lot of knights overall. Safarao advancing into Imperial Age, Alugard Guts already being in Imperial, going for Cavaliers if you have a look on the right side. There are upgrades here, and this is going to be a big problem for the kLu players pretty soon. And even though El Sancho is in the Imperial Age, and since he is Chinese, he could potentially be switching into Chukonos pretty soon. I'm not exactly sure that's going to be enough, because once those paladins hit in from the blue player, that probably shouldn't be really all that far away, rather far behind his upgrades here. So that's going to be a bit problematic, especially for the cavalry archers right there. So this castle is pretty crucial right now for Yellow, because it is covering this gold, which is quite important for them. Also this stone covered by the castle, and yet another castle being dropped by El Sancho, and it's definitely signaling that the Chinese player will be switching into Chukonos very soon indeed. Oh, this is a very nice castle drop. This is a very nice castle drop by Blue, who is trying to prevent any kind of gathering from the Yellow player. And we also see some kind of GG here being called by Red, but yeah, I kind of think so, because Red is out of the game for quite a long time now, and yeah, this gold being denied and this castle more than that is going to be meaning that the Chinese will be facing each other in the battle of the Chukonos, and that's definitely going to be decided by the paladins, and whose side is going to be having that faster. That's probably going to be the blue one. Right now trying to develop a lot of siege workshop here. And Yellow, well, he did have some siege workshop here prepared potentially for some onslaught, but that's probably not going to happen here, as obviously Safarao is right now in the Imperial Age, and he will be advancing, or rather upgrading, to Cavaliers pretty soon. And looking at his resources, he will be switching Yeah, right now being slung by Gach, switching into Paladins quite soon as well. So yeah, this is just a question of waiting for the right time for them to attack for both the teal and the blue player. So that's developing quite substantially better for the LoS team. And well, this is interesting for the Mongolian player Sanin from kLu. This is quite clever actually, because I'm thinking that green won't be really expecting him here at all, so that might potentially be a very safe spot for him to develop here. So that's quite interesting. And the castle here covering the gold. Well, yeah, good idea, but obviously looking at those castles from the Mongolian player of the LoS team, that's probably not going to last, because obviously it doesn't have any kind of defense, and with green having a pretty decent army there, that's probably just going rather waiting for the inevitable to happen. In the middle, though Vince is doing all he can to actually prevent Gach together with Miguelzin to push through him. So they are just right now attempting to, on the right side, to contain their opponents and basically leave them with the base of the red player, and potentially even put them somewhere off there, because you can see right now red is making advantage of this, trying to actually gather from those farms that are not really safe at all. But well, Gach together with Miguelzin are allowing him, and this is right now just what is happening here. Alright, now finally the Raiden, but that's way too late, because you can see, yep, that the army from both teal and blue is absolutely huge, and yeah, yellow together with orange have lost pretty much everything it seems, as they don't seem to be having any kind of army. Yeah, they were waiting for something, but looking how the paladin was coming in from Riot, yeah, there wasn't really anything that they could have done against this. Yep, overall quite well played by the LoS players. Lords of Skulls, the champions of RTS League Season 37, that's the last season, and they are winning the match 2-0. Pretty good job, and also some nice raiding at the end from Miguelzin. So let's have a look at the achievements. Miguelzin yet again having the highest score from LoS by quite a big margin, and also having pretty decent units killed and units lost ratio. Whereas Vince having the opposite here, but well, he was fighting rather 1 versus 2 for quite a long time. Bit of a sling from Gach into Paladins here, and Cavaliers, both Safaro and Miguelzin here. Well, into Miguelzin, obviously he was Mongolian, so not Paladins, but yeah, Elite Mangudais also cost something. Alright then, GG.